I'm working on the Grom chopper today, and I want to get the seat set up on it. And it involves this spring and some levers, and it's gonna be awesome. All right, so we got some stuff cut out of the plasma cutter, the CNC plasma cutter. It's pretty sweet. This is gonna make up our seat bracket. So this is the top part. I've got some slots here so the seat can slide. And then these are the sides, basically, that will help reinforce this guy here. And they slot on approximately like this. It all goes together like that. And then we've got this guy back here that I machined out on the lathe. That goes back there. And then we'll have little bushings that go in there, and it'll be pretty sweet. And we've got these guys here, and these guys are gonna be part of the linkage that goes to the spring. I'm gonna use this spring. And traditionally, you know, they do sell these sort of kits, whatever you can buy, with this sort of spring on it, where you set it sort of like right there. You have a bracket welded to the frame, and this goes directly underneath your seat pan, like that. That would be too easy. I wanna set mine up so it's down here. Just because I love making things with little levers and whatnot, suspension sort of stuff with levers. And I've got this space down here with it'd be slightly more trick to have it down here, right? So despite how cool this little webbing thing is and how classic chopper that is, we're gonna take this out. We don't really need this to brace this thing, and the spring is gonna be somewhat hidden down here. It's only at second glance that you'll even notice it's there, and then you'll really appreciate it a lot more. We're gonna do that, and we're gonna build some levers that come off of here and like lever that spring in the seat. And the seat's gonna have a little pivot point up here that comes out to the actual seat. All right, so now we've got this all cleaned up in here. It's nice and smooth. All right, so I've got it set up on my little weld table here. I've got a couple clamps here and here. I've got it bolted together here on the end. So I'm gonna go ahead and throw a couple tacks on top here. All right, here we go. Here's a couple tacks on there. And this is the general idea. This actually is what's supposed to be down here on the end. And this is going to be our swivel for the seat there. And the seat's going to mount on here. And then we're going to have another swivel on the back here, actually. Another one of these guys that goes back here. And then that'll be our part of our mechanism for the seat to bounce up and down. I think I'm going to go ahead and start welding this thing up. All right, now I've got to get this guy here and weld that on the end of this guy. All right, so we got that one tacked on to this guy here. Now I've got another one of those I need to tack on to the actual frame of the bike. So my first step is to set it up in these links and get this thing somewhat sorted. So there, you start to get an idea of what's going on here. And so this needs to get welded onto the frame. All right, and in an attempt to get this geometry correct on here, in terms of this, I mean, I need it to be so that it's right on, so it's straight on the frame, and I also need it to be sort of spaced back and forth correctly on the frame. So to do that, I've got some spacers to take up any slack on the sides here. These are just washers or whatever pieces of metal that I have. They're the right width to go on there, and then I'm going to maneuver this so that it is aligned both on this bottom part here and on this other part of the frame in the back here, the part of the backbone that extends down. All right, so this needs to mount up here. I need to make a little bracket that comes up and has a couple little eye holes, rubber little holes in it to go through this guy here. All right, now we've got our shock here. I've got a couple of aluminum spacers here that I made in the lathe. Like that goes in like that. We've got a couple tabs here that we just made up. These are gonna go up here and hold this guy on. And these need to be welded onto our tube here, onto our frame, up in here somewhere. Fashion. Here we go. I'm not sure this is gonna work out or not because this is really thin stuff. This is 1/8 inch rod on the middle there and then 1/4 inch on the outside. So I'm gonna try and TIG weld that together. So at this point, I'm not 100% satisfied with how this has turned out, and I'm probably gonna revisit it at some point, but I do think it's a super cool idea. I mean, I like this section in here, all this sort of linkage, the shock, the mount here, I think all that is great. But this section up in here, and especially this section right here, not entirely sure about. And my concerns really stem from this sort of visual angle here. I don't feel like this thing really lines up exactly with how I want this to look. I'm not exactly sure how I want to fix that at this point, but be assured we'll come up with a solution. I am almost certain that this little part here will change before we're done. It's one of those things that, and this is why we tack weld things together first when we're custom making stuff, is so that we can kind of figure this stuff out and then take it apart easily and redo the whole thing. That's definitely the case in this thing, where I kind of want to try it out and then see what I need to fix and then fix it. So I'm gonna put the seat on here. The seat will go on here approximately like that. And so I have to really take a look at this thing and figure out if that's how I want this thing to look. And so there's still a lot to do with the seat pan, and so I'll have a separate video just on doing the seat pan, turning it from this flat piece of metal into a curved leather covered upholstered thing. So keep an eye out for that video as well. I'm looking forward to working with leather. I think that's gonna be pretty neat. And I actually already made myself a wallet in anticipation and in some practice, and it's pretty cool. So I'm definitely very happy with this concept, and I'm gonna work to refine and hopefully perfect this thing. I'm super thrilled that I've had the opportunity on this bike, on this project, to do something like this, because the way I work, I kind of go with the flow to a large degree, and this sort of space on the bike has just sort of appeared. It's sort of happened that way. I have this extra space on this particular bike, this particular frame. I like to make things efficiently and utilize everything to its highest potential. So I hope that I'm doing that here, and I hope that it's inspiring to someone else. And you know, feel free to use this concept on your bike and do something cool with this. Take it and make it better, you know? So keep on wrenching, everybody. We'll see you next time.